Good evening. Welcome to another in the Artfull series on SQL. So I've covered a couple of other topics before, but tonight I want to talk about views. So how do they differ from tables, and what can they be used for, and why should you use them? So a table has a set of columns, structure. You might define decimals, or you might define booleans. But views effectively are a layer on top of those tables. If you write an application and you want to return a view, say if you've got user details and you don't want the password returning, views allow you to very nicely hide of that information away from the end users. And yes, you could do the same with a store procedure, but views are quite good. It's a way to say put a load of logic into a view and then you can add it within other queries. Now, I've used views for quite a while now. They're quite nice because you don't care what the view is doing under the scenes. Well, yes, you do from perform, etc. But what I mean is you can say, well, here's a view of cars or people. I want to do what I want to do with it. So let's just connect to SQL Server. So I've got a local dev instance on here. Again, the version I'm using is the Dev Server Edition, which is free for non-production use. It's a fully version of SQL Server. So let's just connect and we're going to have a look at the database. So I've already created some views before just to, in my other videos to do with open query link servers. So that is a view. So if we just open this one up, let's do script crew as always do this because then it stops you from accidentally making mistakes and rolling it out in production environment. So it's very simple. It is like set on top. So it's saying at the moment we're saying we're getting a view, we give it a name. It's good to have prefixes, so I can't stress that enough. Have your v underscore for store procedures, sp underscore, because then you just know that it's a view. It's an easy way to tell it apart. But views will return underlying columns and their data types. And yes, if it was a single table view, so what I mean by this is if I just created a view like I've done here of one table and didn't have any joins, some views are updatable. So you can actually update certain information from a view with the relevant security permissions. So let's go back to our cars database. So let's say we want to see, let's have a look at cars. So we've got none at the moment, but suppose let's do something different. Let's go to a different database where there is some data. It makes it a bit easier to see it. Okay, so within the sample data, we've got our video games chart. But let's suppose that we want to exclude the developer. We're only interested in these 5 columns here. Yes, you could write the SQL to only bring back those 5 columns, but with a view, you know for definite that they can't, that's all they can see because you can lock down security so they can't see the underlying tables, etc. So it's very simple to create a view. And by right clicking and doing select top 1000 rows, this is what we get back. So again, let's create a view. It's very simple. You've got your select statement. You need to use the keyword create view v underscore, and let's call it app games list. And then as, because you're specifying that that is the name, what we're creating, and this is our, what is it? It's just effectively a SQL statement. It could be a CTE, it could be a list of variables. There's whole sorts of stuff that you can do with a view that you can't do with a flat table. But then again, you can't also define columns in a traditional way inside of it. Yes, you could build a temporary table and return that. But right, so let's say we don't want top 1000 from there. And all we're interested in is we want to up until the developer. So we don't really care about delete. And let's do execute. And then if we go down here, there you go. So you can see here we've got various different views. And what we can see now is we could hand that over to somebody. So for example, if this is a user list, you can exclude passwords and they can't get access to that sensitive information. Not that you should be writing ways to expose it or let it to be exposed, because that's the thing you have to be careful of is, do you really want to expose your core tables that may contain login information? Yes, the passwords are hashed, but you can still get them back. So what that tells us is we've got a view, and that's all there is to it. But you can do so much more than that, because a view can then contain, let's just say, you can do very interesting things. So let's say for this, we're only interested, there's different ways to do this, so this isn't the best way, but let's say what we're going to do is let's drop a union in. So union combines one or more tables which must have the same matching amount of columns. So let's say for here, again, this isn't how you'd actually technically do this. And let's say where console equals, and let's just grab another one of these. Let's just say SNES. Again, you wouldn't write this, but this is just for illustration purposes. Where console equals. Okay, so if we just do that now, and if we refresh our list, there you go. So what you can see is we've got a subset. We can't see them all because effectively we've got that. There you go. You can now see that we've just got PSP and SNES games. So that's a union. Now, the difference between, no, I won't go to it. There is a difference between, there's another command you can run. So you could even do this. You could then do, this is a beauty of views. Let's just say we want to do this. So let's do, you can even declare variables of views. Let's say declare uh, what we're going to do with that. Just get the column name. Console. Okay, envarchar. So at console equals PSP. No, we can't do it. Hang on, ignore me actually doing it on the where's. Envarchar 200. Can have a maximum of 200. Okay, so let's do. Is that right? Have I done that right? It doesn't like that. Okay, probably I thought you could put them in there. But yeah, so you can do different things. So why is it not liking that? That console envarchar. But let's just scrap that from. I'll come back to that. But I suppose, yeah. Okay, so it's not liking that. Let's just do something different then. So I'm pretty sure somewhere you can actually do that within a view or with, no, apologies, it's store procedures, so apologies about that. So yeah, so you certain things you can and you can't do within views. But we now have a table with console, PSP and SNES. So a view is very much those bits only, but yeah. So that's a view. And what you can also do as well, let's create a view. And you can have views within views. So we've got our games list there, but what if we wanted another view that is by the Sony Computer Entertainment platform? So what we can say here is we can say create the app games list. Sony. And this is based on our view. And you would have put the view keyword. Based on our view there, so let's get rid of that. So again, this is how you say where publisher and then F5 that. There you go. So what you can see here is we're starting to build several views up. So if we refresh this one, this is a view, right? Okay. So this sits on top of that view that then sits on that table. So yes, you can chain views up. And it's a good way of reducing complexity in larger SQL statements. For example, you can just take that logic out and say, I know this view is doing this little bit of chunk over here, and then I just want to load it in, and it just simplifies your stored procedure code or your all of that information just beautifully simplifies it. Now, one thing you have to be careful, or there's a caveat with a view. If you want to order in a view, so sort by, this is one caveat you have to do because you simply can't say, let's just alter that view. In traditional statements, you could say order by title. And what's going to happen is it's going to complain because you can't, just see if this will work. Okay, you can't have order by in a view. Now, the way around this is it's a bit of a hack, but what you do is you put top and give it such a ridiculously high number. Let's go something like that. If I do execute, look at that. Yes, you may have more records eventually that, but if you know it's a small subset, you can just put top. So if I execute that, and I go into here now and do select rows, there you go. It's one way you can sort by in a view without without having to do a table in and new logic in. You know that view is now sorted. So this is before, this is after, and you know you can sort it. And the other thing about views is you could then say, well, actually, let's do this. Let's say we want to know in the Sony games how many for each genre. So let's do another view, and this is a view on top of a view. But you get the point. You can chain these views down and do them that. So let's do app games list Sony GRP genre count. And here's what you can do is we're going to keep this up here because we want to say do that again there. And what we're going to do is now is we're going to say we're going to count title or count style, which just counts the number of rows in a group. So we want genre. We're only interested in genre. And we're going to take that out. And then if you're counting the rows, just simply do count as number, let's call it number of titles and the genre. And then we're just going to do that. And let's order by the genre. So let's say order by genre. And let's just do that. Oh, apologies, that's me. So again, if you're doing this, you have to do a group by, and it is genre. There you go. So that should now. There you go. So we'll just keep, but you can build as many views up as you want. That's what I'm trying to say. So what we've got now is we should be able to select this. There you go. So we have now, you could order it by number of titles. You could say order that. But you get the idea. You can then just say, well, if you want that information, then you could join this view back onto a list of so let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to join a view on. So this is our Sony games list, and we've got title genre. So what we're going to do is we're going to say S, and you can have a join in a view. So what we can say is we want to know for a console, what we're going to do, title. Okay, so you just join it back on itself. That's one way to do it. So our view information is number of titles and genre. So you might not have that information in there, so we could then say yes. You could do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. So what we're going to do is it won't make a lot of sense because you may not want to query. So let's say left join, and we want to join this here. Do that and call this GC on GC dot genre equals S dot genre. And what we can say here is we could say, well, we'll join that. So let's just run that. Okay, what we got wrong here? So left join. Have I done that right? I don't know. Oh, okay. So this is another thing. If you're joining two tables the same, so all we need to do is we need to prefix it with one. So we now have information. Oh, I haven't selected it either. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a column in here as well. But that's done it. So then we could say case when GC dot genre is not null, then number of titles GC dot that, and we're going to come back over here and do else end as genre number of titles. And because it's a left join, we want to check for nulls. We don't want null in the data set. There you go. So you can now see that what we've effectively done is we've got 15 down there, 10, 20, and yeah. And it just means that we've got a top level way. You could say, well, how many of this genre is there across the whole of our data set? Well, we've got that information now. So if you wanted to say, well, what is a percentage or how does this factor into the overall picture? 1 of 15, yeah, you could do all sorts of interesting things to say, well, what am I actually interested in? If I know that we say 1 divided by 15, we could say, well, that counts down to that. And again, you can see it here. So we know the first 15 rows are those different titles, and that's a genre. And again, the beauty of this is I could create a view of that information. So I've taken a view, but it just hides or hides that information out of the way. It takes a complexity away from a very complex thing and makes it nice and simple. I've used views in the past loads of times because they just take the complexity and puts it out of the way. Yes, you still want your queries to be efficient and all of that as well. But yes, I'm going to wrap up now. But that's just a bit of introduction to views. You can use them for warehouse and all of that. And hopefully we'll cover that in another video. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you've really enjoyed this video.